Direct Connection is made by MPT to serve all of our diverse communities and is made possible by the generous support of our members. Thank you. Live from Maryland Public Television, this is Direct Connection with Jeff Salkin.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for tuning in for Direct Connection. There is a full plate for members of Congress right now. Proposed changes to Obamacare, investigations into Russia and the election, plus hearings on a Supreme Court nominee. Here to talk about that and more tonight is Maryland's senior U.S. Senator Ben Cardin. Senator, thank you for being with us.
Oh, it's always a pleasure to be with you. Thanks.
So the big news today comes out of the House Intelligence Committee. They had the head of the FBI, head of the NSA testifying. What, for you, was the big takeaway from that?
Well, first, Director Comey confirmed that there is absolutely no information at all that supports the president's tweet that he was wiretapped by President Obama. There's just nothing there at all. And still, President Trump won't retract his statement. There's also an acknowledgement for the first time by the FBI that there's an active investigation as to Russia's attack of our election system, including contacts with the Trump administration. So that is, to me, the two big news for today. Nothing on wiretapping, and yes, there is an active investigation that involves the connections between the Trump campaign and Russia.
Where does that potentially go? I mean, unless it was the president himself hacking into somebody's server, do you see a potential crime here?
Well, I can't speculate about that. The FBI looks for criminal activities, so they're looking for criminal matters. Yes, there are certain espionage statutes, certain foreign agent statutes that deal with contact made by foreigners to Americans. And so there could be some violations of law, but that's speculation. What we do know is that there are a lot of contacts between the Trump campaign and Russia. We know there were critical meetings, including the meeting with the Russian ambassador and the now Attorney General of the United States, very much in this time frame. Why did that meeting take place? What were the Russians interested in? And was there any involvement at all by the Trump campaign?
You were a bit more connected to this personally than most members of Congress, because in the last days of the Obama administration, they sent you a packet of secret material about Russia, about this investigation. What was the purpose of that?
Well, at the time, there had been reports that there was Russia involvement in our elections that had been confirmed by the intelligence agencies. In my role as a ranking Democrat on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, I asked the State Department to give me all of their information concerning those contacts, because it deals with the oversight responsibility of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee in our relationship with Russia. The State Department made that information available to the majority and the minority, the Democrats and Republicans on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. They classified the information as secret, so I'm not allowed to talk about the specifics, but it was of the nature that had been reported in the paper.
Let me remind our viewers, if you have a question or comment for Senator Cardin, please give us a call. We'll have the number up on the screen. You can also tweet your questions. The Twitter address is @MPT News. Now, the president has proposed a budget. What would that mean for Maryland?
Well, this is what we call the top line or skinny budget. He just gives us the broad top lines. If that were enacted, it would be devastating for Maryland, absolutely devastating. Eliminates the entire federal participation in the Chesapeake Bay program, eliminates the Appalachian Regional Commission, which is so important to the western part of our state, eliminates the federal role in public TV, which affects our listeners here tonight.
We've heard.
Eliminating the National Endowment for the Arts, eliminating so many, the community development block grant that's used by our local jurisdictions for so many of the urban issues eliminated. So there's so much in this budget. Cuts the State Department by 35, 37, 38%. Cuts the Environment Protection Agency by a like percentage. It would be devastating for our national security, and certainly very devastating for the state of Maryland.
Worth pointing out, the budget process in Washington is a good bit different than the budget process in Annapolis, where the governor has a lot of power. Congress really, as they say, has the power of the purse.
Well, and there's always a saying whenever a president releases a budget that it's dead on arrival when it hits Congress because we're the ones who pass the budget. I can say, I think very confidently, this budget will not become law. But it does speak to President Trump and his priorities. A budget is a choice. And you can see where he has chosen to really hurt our environment, to hurt our role internationally, to hurt our cultural activities. He has presented a budget that, if it did become law, it would really damage our nation. But as you point out, Congress will have the last say.
Let's go to the phones. Baltimore County, this is Charlotte. Charlotte, thank you for the call. Go ahead.
Yes. Is there any possible movement going afoot that there's an impeachment possibility for this president?
Thank you very much.
Well, impeachment is handled in the House of Representatives. The United States Senate becomes the jury if there's an impeachment resolution. So it's up to the House of Representatives to consider or initiate an impeachment process. There is certainly a concern about the president violating the constitutional provision against receiving gifts from foreign governments. The Constitution is pretty clear. You cannot receive any gifts from foreign governments. And there is indications that President Obama did not divest himself or set up a blind trust. I said President Trump, excuse me, did not divest himself or set up a blind trust of his business enterprises. So therefore, President Trump has put himself in a position that as Trump Enterprises does business around the world, it's very hard to determine whether a foreign government's not trying to do favor with the president. That would violate our Constitution.
But all of that was also something that was known to the voters, wasn't it? I mean, that he had these entanglements that were going to be extremely difficult to extract himself from, if it was possible at all.
We've had presidential candidates who have run for office with complicated financial holdings. Every president has divested or set up blind trusts so that they don't violate the constitutional provisions. So yes, we've had presidents such as President Kennedy who had major holdings. We've had President Carter with as you know, a peanut farm. We've had many presidents that have had major holdings, but they've all divested or set up blind trusts except for one, that one being President Trump.
Back to the phones, Anne Arundel County. This is Bob. Bob, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
I wanted to ask Senator Cardin why the Democrats on the committee in the House and why Democratic spokespersons generally regarding the possibility of the Trump campaign interference in our election don't respond to the Republicans who suggest that there's no evidence that the actual vote totals, that is to say, the voting process on Election Day itself, was impacted.
Bob, thanks for the phone call. So the point is that when media outlets might report that the election was hacked, the campaign was hacked. Is there a difference there?
No, there's more than that. But there's no evidence that Russia, in fact, changed any votes that were cast or changed the way the votes were counted in the election. That's absolutely true. We do know that they did do hacking to understand how we do that. So we are concerned they might try to do that in the future, but there's no indication that anyone's vote was not properly recorded or counted. But we do know that they did more than just hack information from the democratic institutions. They used that in a way to try to influence the election. They released it at a strategic moment. They created fake news. They used social media to make that fake news look real and to be the hot news of the day. And they did it, according to our intelligence community, in order to discredit the U.S. election and to discredit Hillary Clinton and to favor Donald Trump. No one, I'm not suggesting, and no one is suggesting, that they in fact changed anyone's vote.
Howard County, this is Mary. Mary, thank you for the call. Go ahead.
Hi.
Hi, you're on.
Okay. My question is, the Democratic National Committee needs to reach out to the rural part of this country to regain their trust and votes in the next election. What will you, Senator Cardin, do to achieve that end?
Great question. A lot of red out there when you look at the national map.
I agree completely with Mary's call. The Democratic Party needs to pay respect to all parts of our state and nation. So I believe that in past elections we have ignored parts of this country at our own risk. And I can tell you in elections here in Maryland, it's important to pay attention to all parts of the state. That's why if you take a look at my schedule, you'll see that I'm out throughout Maryland regularly. I was on the Eastern Shore last week with some major events. I'm going to be out in Western Maryland shortly. I go around the entire state because I think it's important that all people in Maryland know that we want to listen to your concerns, and I want to represent all Marylanders.
You had events today talking about the Affordable Care Act. You had an event talking about immigration. Just spend a minute with your views on those topics, and then we'll get back to the funds.
Right. Today I was in Howard County on the Affordable Care Act repeal and replacement at Howard County General Hospital. We had a wide group of stakeholders that were there to listen to what is happening. I was with Senator Van Hollen and Congressman Cummings. Then I went to Silver Spring to do an immigration event at Hias. Their international headquarters are located in Maryland. We're very proud of that. They brought together a lot of representatives from the immigrant community that helped settle immigrants in our country, and we had a forum on the immigration reform issue. And then later, I had a conference call with stakeholders on what's happening on health care.
Very good tweet just came in from Gregory. Senator, will you commit to block the confirmation of Judge Gorsuch while the Trump campaign or the Trump administration is still under investigation? Well,
Judge Gorsuch's hearing started today. We had opening statements. The questioning by the members of the Senate Judiciary Committee will take place tomorrow and Wednesday, and then we'll have the outside panel of witnesses Thursday. I believe in a confirmation process, so I will be listening very intently to how that testimony unfolds. I had a chance to meet with Judge Gorsuch. I appreciated that opportunity. Clearly, I am very concerned by the manner in which the Republican leadership handled President Obama's nomination, Merrick Garland, to be a Supreme Court justice. It was disrespect for the president and an affront to the judicial branch of government. So I am very suspicious and concerned as to how the Republican leadership is going to handle Judge Gorsuch's nomination. So I'm withholding all what I might do, depending on see how this process goes forward.
I'm sure you've heard the argument that the Republicans in the Senate would love the Democrats to filibuster this nomination as an excuse to do what the Democrats did and get rid of the filibuster process. In the former case, it was done for other members of the judiciary except for the Supreme Court. This would be the Supreme Court and would set the stage for what might be more difficult confirmation battles if other seats were to open up in the near future. Should the Democrats filibuster this?
Well, I think it's too early to tell what process should be used. Let's see how the Republicans handle the confirmation process. There's been some indication that they may try to rush this through. Let's see how they handle it. They have the control of the Senate, so they control the agenda. They can bring these votes up whenever they want to bring these votes up. But I can tell you, we're not going to listen to their threats about changing the rules. If they're going to change the rules, let them change the rules. They're the ones who are complaining that Democrats should never have been able to change rules by simple majority. If they want to change it by simple majority, let them do that. Let them change the Senate. But quite frankly, we're not going to be intimidated by their threats. We want a fair process. We know that President Obama was not treated fairly, And we do also know that President Trump is testing his constitutional power, and we want an independent judiciary. We saw an independent judiciary act on the executive orders on immigration. We want to make sure that we have a strong, independent Supreme Court.
Back to the phone, Sussex County, Delaware. This is Greg. Greg, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Yes.
Sir.
Yeah, I wanted to ask a question. I already talked to one person.
Yeah, well, you're on now. What's the question?
Oh, I would like to know why nobody's asking about how much it's costing the taxpayer to pay for Trump's weekend trips and the Secret Service for his wife. I mean, that's costing millions of dollars every weekend.
Thanks for raising the question. That's very good. Thank you, sir.
Well, the Secret Service is responsible to protect the president and his family, and that includes not only where the president might happen to be, but where his family travels and their properties and homes where they are frequent visitors. That for the Trump family is a pretty vast responsibility.
You know, there's this very nice place in Maryland, northern central Maryland, Camp David, I think it's called.
Right.
You'd recommend that?
Well, Camp David is already secured, and it's an easy place for the president to get to without a lot of problems on security. But President Trump does not seem to favor that. He seems to like to travel to Florida. So it's the president's prerogatives. It is very expensive. The Secret Service also guards his families when his family travels, including his adult sons who are traveling for business. Now, I respect the right that we need to protect the president and his family. I just wish that when Mr. Trump was just Mr. Trump, not president, how he criticized President Obama on his trips to play golf, and now President Trump is doing a lot more than President Obama did in his weekend travel. So it's the right thing to protect the family. It is very expensive. But I would hope that the president would be mindful that these are taxpayer dollars, and he should be very judicious in his travel plans in order to try to protect the public treasury.
From Howard County, this is Natalie. Natalie, thank you for the call. Go ahead.
All right.
What's your question?
My name is Natalie. I am worried about civility in this country altogether, and I'm wondering if Senator Cardin is not in agreement that President Trump has brought this nation to an incredible divisive place. And if he were in the Congress, would he start a plan to start a bill to impeach the president just because of this incredible divisiveness that the president has wrought upon us and upon foreign countries? And one last point is that he's not afraid of what Stephen Bannon is. He has said that he wants to deconstruct the entire government. I mean, this is insanity as far as I can see.
Thank you, Natalie.
Well, candidate Trump and President Trump have used language to me which are very, very outrageous and wrong. They're not what America stands for. Diversity is our strength, and yet they have the president has been responsible for very divisive comments about Muslims, about Mexicans, about different groups of Americans. That's just wrong, and it is very hurtful, but it also has consequences. We've seen a rise of hate crime in America. We've seen a rise of anti-Semitism in our own community with bomb threats to Jewish institutions. We've seen violence against different segments of our minority population. The president needs to be our leader. He needs to speak out against those types of hate activities.
No, he did.
He
State
did,
of the
but he
Union,
was
you were
late.
in the room.
The first line was great, and I appreciate that. But then he talks about violence in our community in the high murder rate and brings in two victims to show families, to show to make his point. Both were victimized by undocumented immigrants. And yet we know the immigrant community is less violent than the general community. He didn't have anybody there for gun violence or anybody there for drug problems. So the president is not fairly representing the risk factors to America. Immigrants are not our risk. The risk is self-radicalization. The risk is the fact that we don't deal with the problems in our own country, that we haven't done with gun violence. That's where our risk. We haven't done with the drug epidemic in America. So we need to talk about the real risks. And I think President Trump's done a disservice to the values of our nation and to the credibility of America speaking globally on the issues that are so critically important to democratic countries.
2 months in today to the Trump administration, I think everybody would acknowledge, left, right, whatever, that he's had a rough start. He's got a 37% approval rating by Gallup, 20 points underwater, favorable, unfavorable. No experience in elective office. What would you advise? You've been in elective office a long time. If there was a desire in the White House to hit the reset button, how do you do it?
Well, it has to start with the President of the United States. He has to realize this is not about the person Donald Trump. This is about the presidency of the United States. He needs to respect the presidency. Jeff, I was just this weekend in Dallas for a family occasion, and I went to the George W. Bush Library. I never thought I would be so much.
You get recognized?
No, I didn't. But the George W. Bush Library talks about how President Bush respected the office of the president. And he recognized that he had a responsibility to the American people as holding that office of president. I don't see that with President Trump. I don't see him recognizing that it's about the office, not him. So what he needs to do is back up and say, okay, let me calm down. Let me get rid of my BlackBerry or my iPhone. Let me stop tweeting. Let me start bringing around people that really know the subject matter. Let me get rid of Steve Bannon and those who are trying to literally, I think, compromise the values of our nation. And bring in real experts on foreign policy that can help him. Bring in real experts on how you grow an economy. Bring in real experts on preserving our environment. And then work with Congress. Listen. Work with Congress and have a more centrist policies, which most Americans want. And use his leadership capacity to bring us together. The elections are over. It's time to govern. It's time to lead this nation. He's no longer a candidate. And he's no longer a private citizen. It's time to bring this country together and to speak for the values of America. But unless he's willing to recognize that this is not about him, I think it's going to be a long period of time.
Howard County, this is Jeff. Jeff, thank you for the call. Go ahead. Jeff, are you there?
Yes, I am. How are you tonight?
Great. Thanks for the call.
Hi. My simple question is, I must admit I supported Hillary, but for my friends who voted for Trump, it seemed they voted for Trump and excused a lot of his behavior simply because they kept reiterating that he's a businessman, he's a businessman. Our country's in economic problems. We're facing, a deficit that's just growing, and Social Security that's questionable, and medical expenses going out. Is that something that the Democrats could start to focus on, is saying that we're going to focus on economics? I kind of felt like they didn't talk about jobs in the election, and that's perhaps why they hurt Hillary more than other things. Do you believe that or not?
I think you're right. I think it does have a lot to do about jobs. People do want a better economic future for their children and grandchildren. People are frustrated that the economy is not doing better. They want to hear how we're going to deal with the deficit. They want to know how we're going to deal with better schools. They want to know how we're going to deal with job training to meet the challenges that we have globally for American competitiveness. They want to know how we're going to have economic growth in this country so America can maintain its edge. I think all those questions are very much were in the minds of voters who voted for Mr. Trump. I accept that. We did not, as Democrats, get our message across the way we needed to. But now you take a look at what Mr. Trump is doing. He's not responding to those issues. He said he would not touch Medicare or Social Security, and he's very much involved in affecting Medicare under the Affordable Care Act replacement that would reduce the solvency of the Medicare Trust Fund and jeopardize that program moving forward. So you got to look at his actions and whether he's really going to be able to create the jobs that he's talking about. How is he going to reduce the deficit? Do you reduce the deficit by large tax cuts? Is Affordable Care replacement tax makes $800 billion, I think, in tax cuts, mainly for the wealthy, or $600 billion. So cutting taxes is not a way to reduce the deficit. So you got to look at his programs. But I agree that as Democrats, if we want to get the trust of middle class America, we better focus on jobs and economic growth.
Call from Baltimore County. This is Robin. Robin, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Hi, this is Robin.
You're on. What's your question, please?
Hi. Well, my question is about Ivanka Trump. I've seen some things in the news where she's showing up in pictures sitting next to Angela Merkel, and she also looks like she's going to be getting an office in the White House. And it's like we didn't vote for her, so I just don't understand, why that's happening.
Senator?
Well, the president very much relies on his family for a good deal of his advice. That's the way he operates. That's not how I think it should be done. I think, as I said a little bit earlier, I think for him it's time for him to back off and recognize it's about the office, not the individual, and he needs to bring around him the experts that can give him the very best advice. He needs to set up his National Security Council so that the President of the United States gets an unfiltered report on a daily basis as to the threats facing our country. It can't go through a family member. It can't go through Steve Bannon. It has to go directly to the President of the United States. So I think the question that you're asking about family is a matter of concern. Not that he shouldn't be with his family or use his family for getting advice, but he should have a structure in place that gets to the president the very best information to make the tough decisions that he has to make on a daily basis.
Well, a lot of those tough decisions have to do with foreign relations. You're the ranking member of the Foreign Relations Committee in the Senate. What are your top concerns right now?
Well, the top concern is Russia. Russia is the greatest threat to America. They're the ones not only that attacked us, but they're attacking our allies in Europe on their elections. They're in Ukraine today, as we know. They're in Moldova. They're in Georgia. They're interfering in Syria, committing war crimes. They're violating their arms treaties with us. So Russia, to me, is the greatest, global threat. I put North Korea as an immediate threat. Their development of nuclear weapons, plus a capacity to deliver those nuclear weapons, including to the United States, is a major concern. Secretary Tillerson was right to put the international community on notice, particularly China, that they needed to do more to rein in North Korea. And then we have the terrorist threat in ISIS and what's going on in the Middle East. There's a lot of areas of major concern.
Good grief. Senator Ben Cardin, a busy man, thank you very much for making time for us.
Good to be with you.
Appreciate it. Thank you for joining us for Direct Connection. We're back Thursday at this time with Your Money and Business, and we'll find out what the return of unlimited data plans will mean for consumers. Now, for all of us at MPT, I'm Jeff Salkin. Thank you for watching. Have a good night.
This program was made by MPT to serve all of our diverse communities.